The Boundary Park Alert System is sponsored by Pendle New Tech, a family-run Lancashire business you can rely on for everything fire safety related, including supply and installation, maintenance, testing, certification, alarms, risk assessments, like I said, anything fire safety related. But what do I know? Visit pendle-nu-tech.com and they'll sort you right out. Check the show notes for more information.
This is a test of the Boundary Park Alert System.
Hello and welcome to the Boundary Park Alert System with me, Matt Dean. I'm joined this week by Andy Halliwell, as is the norm. How are you, Andy?
Yeah, I'm okay. A bit tired after my sojourn up to Shropshire and back to London yesterday. It was a bit of a trek. Yeah, all right, you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm tired. I thought I was just mentioning we know who the guest is because I think you mentioned it last week, didn't you, on the podcast? But we'll maintain the pretense that it's still unknown at the minute. But just chatting before we press record about whether or not we got our dress right yesterday, because it was freezing. It was horrible, and I thought I'll play it. I won't need quite as many layers on because I'm going to have my beer jacket on tomorrow, and that's going to really help. Not done a boozy away day. I think this was the first one all season actually, which first one on the train. But yeah, the beer jacket was completely ineffective yesterday. It was cold, it was wet in that way, and yeah, I'm just tired from the effects of however many pints of local ale I consumed yesterday. I've had to refresh my memory of the game on the highlights because I'd forgotten quite a lot of it, and it was good exercise in comparing how much easier it is to do this podcast having not been on the beer the day before. So I think I might bear that in mind going into next season. How was your trip? Did the boys enjoy themselves despite all the obvious negatives that we'll come on to discuss later?
Yeah, I mean, we had a good day out. We left the house at 8:30 in the morning and we got home at just gone 9 o'clock. So for a 6-year-old, a 12 and a bit hour day is quite a trek, probably at the real outer limits of what I would consider doing in future. But I hadn't been to Shrewsbury's new ground before, so I wanted to tick it off for myself, let alone them. It was a good day out. My mum and cousin got the coach from Boundary Park down, so we all met up and had a nice sort of family day out. So it was good for that. Good atmosphere. Nice little sort of supporters club round the back. You could go in for a couple of drinks. It was a good day out. Just ruined by the football, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and the weather. But this week's fan guest is no stranger to dragging two small boys around the country, or should that be the other way around? Two small boys dragging him around the country. So let's do the usual introduction, please, Andy.
Well, I mean, this has got to be the 6th time on the podcast, once every season, I think. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Your first game, when was it?
So I was taken from being really, really young, games prior to me remembering, but the first games I remember really are the Premier League season when we got relegated. So I remember games against Arsenal where we drew 0-0, and Liverpool tonking us 3-0 at home as well. I remember that game as one of my first memories, really.
Your first favourite player, I'll answer it for you. You told us before was Gunnar Haller.
Yeah, it was Gunnar Haller. It still is Gunnar Haller. But what I will add, which is a bit different to what I said, is when I moved into my teens, I absolutely loved the tenacity of John Eyre. So much so that I actually had an England shirt with 10 Eyre on the back of it.
That was a bit hopeful, wasn't it?
Very much so, yeah.
And this will be a new question for you. What is your favourite ever away game?
I think favourite, I know a lot of people have said it. I think my favourite one would have to be the York one, simply because there weren't that many of us there. I fully expected that we'd have been beaten quite comfortably in that game. They finished way ahead of us in the league and were a better team than us. I didn't see that coming at all. So I know it's been said a lot and it's not very original like the guest you had on the other week had, but I would have to say the York game.
And if you can come up with a different little known fact about yourself.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be Latics related, does it?
Nope.
No. So a couple of years ago, the film The Full Monty was it was being re-released. They were doing a series of it on Disney Plus, and my house was actually used for filming in, I think it was episode 5. So we had Mark Addy, Robert Carlyle, Leslie Sharp, and then the gentleman in it who was a teacher who Leslie Sharp was having an affair with. So that's a spoiler if you haven't watched it. But and they spent a full day filming at our house, and it was great. It's quite unlike us as well, because some of my friends will tell you that we don't let anybody in our house. Once we come home, the doors are locked, the curtains are shut, nobody is welcome. So it's quite out of character for us, really. But yeah, that's something I don't think many people know, really.
Well, should we go and watch that? We can have a nosy at your front room.
Exactly. All the people that have been denied entry, you can now have a nosy around on the TV, which is a bonus.
How did you come by that? Did someone contact you, or do you register with a company?
Really, really bizarre it was. So I was mowing the front lawn. It was a half term. I was mowing the front lawn, and you know where we're situated. They use the Latics car park as they used to have a bit of a filming base. And some producers just came on our street, and they were posting flyers through the door, and they actually handed it to me because I was on the front lawn. So then I phoned she's now my wife. She wasn't my wife at the time, and I'd said, like, do you fancy this? So she said, yeah, why not? So we got in touch. They came around, took some pictures. They said, oh, yeah, we'd love to use it. And it was all from them coming to see us that day. It was about 2 weeks later, and they were filming there. It was mad. Like, the whole street was locked down. Our next door neighbour was in his front garden. He was sat on the deck chairs, drinking a can of beer, watching them film it. It was quite like, talking about it now. Actually, it feels more surreal than it actually did at the time.
Pretty good. I assume you got coined in, did you?
Yeah. We got a bit of money for it. Yeah.
Nice one.
It's all gone now, like.
Well, those away days, they don't come cheap, do they? You've got to fund them somehow.
Exactly.
Right.
Who are you?
We all know who you are, but go on.
Yeah, I'm Paddy Harwood.
Paddy Harwood, Latics Mine champion 2025, 2024, runner-up 2023.
That's right, yeah.
Like
won't be this time. I know exactly what you've done. So I was going to do some research, and I just thought it's not even worth it for the questions that you're going to ask. I don't think you can find anything from the 1930s anywhere.
How did you get on last week when Paul had his bespoke questions?
I got 3. One was by luck. It was it David Shaw? I guessed that one, just from that generation. I got the Bristol City one, and I got the 06-07, how we did in the first 6 games. But apart from that, yeah, not very good.
Did Paul get 4?
Paul got 4, yeah.
But he got lucky with his guess for United in that game, didn't he? So yeah, it's all to play for. How exciting! However, we'll have to wait until towards the end of this week's episode before we get into all that. First of all, we have to go into a little bit more detail on what happened yesterday in Shrewsbury. I have to say, it was my first trip to Shrewsbury. I was pleasantly surprised that it only takes an hour and 15 minutes on the train to get to Shrewsbury. It's one of those I've never been before. It's a beautiful place, isn't it? It's got some extraordinary buildings. It's really, really nice. I've got to say that the locals I found to be very, very friendly. We were guided by Adrian from Shropshire. So we had a bit of an insight. He sort of like planned a route towards the ground, so we went on pubs that were sort of on the way, and we met Brian, who is Brian from Shropshire, who lives down that neck of the woods. He was having breakfast in the cafe that we went to, so we met him and we introduced him to Adrian. So there's a little bit of a Shropshire Latics supporters club now, the embryo of one at least, and. We had a very, very pleasant day. Ended up on a coach from the Prince of Wales, which was a Shrewsbury pub, and runs a coach there and back just before the game and after the game, and that was nice. So they were very, very, very friendly. Obviously, we had to be quite humble on the way back because we'd been humbled 1-0. They're safe, so I'm looking forward to being able to potentially visit there next season. It's looking more and more like that's going to be the case as we enter the home straight with 4 games to go. can't really have too many complaints yesterday, lads. I don't think. I mean, we had some good chances that we didn't take. We hit the post when Jallo turned into prime Pele all of a sudden and did an incredible overhead kick. But I thought that we really struggled, Paddy, to dictate the game, to get on the ball, to dominate a team that, you know, have been struggling all season, and obviously have taken 4 points off us now this season. So it looked like it was just hard work, wasn't it, yesterday? We never got into our rhythm, did we?
Yeah, it was very disappointing, really. It was hard to watch. I know the conditions weren't great, but we were all over the place. Like in midfield, we were so slow. We couldn't get a grip of the game. Their lad in midfield seemed to dictate it. Is it Perry with the blonde hair? He seemed to dictate the game, and Woods and Pet might as well have been stood with me. They were anonymous in Pet's case again. I know we've had quite a few conversations about him recently, Andy, but he doesn't contribute anywhere near enough, and that was the case again yesterday. There's been some games where he's been playing and I've not actually realised he's on the pitch until late on in the game. Woods, he had that spell out of the team and he come back in and did a lot better, but the last couple of weeks he's not been at it. I just thought it was a really bad game of football, and they were just better at being bad than we were, really. We didn't play to the wind at all second half. Those constant aimless punts, which either Garner or Fondot would win every so often, but it'd just be flicked onto nobody. It was just really, really disappointing. And I know we had a conversation on Monday, Matt, and you'd said about, it doesn't matter if we don't make it. And in theory, you're right. But to get to the stage that we'd got ourselves to and then to put in a showing like yesterday is really, really, really disappointing. And I came away yesterday probably more annoyed than I've been since maybe the Accrington game back in November. Just not good enough. Not good enough on the day. And that's all over the park, really.
Yeah, Andy?
I mean, the way I come at it is, I think since that little run of 3 games where we got beat by Barnet, Swindon, Cambridge, and we've had that run that we've been on, only losing to Crewe before yesterday, I think a lot of players in that side have performed at the absolute limits of their ability. Like they have really, really pushed themselves and performed extremely well for 2.5 months or 2 months, which is enormous credit to them and Mickey Mellon for getting them to do that. But I think when each week you've been saying, do you still think we'll make it? And I go, no. I mean, obviously we have got quite close.
And we still could, potentially. It's looking increasingly unlikely, but with 4 games to go, it's still potentially doable. You're gonna have to win all 4, and even then it might not be enough.
So I don't see it as possible really now, but you never know. But I think part of the reason why I've been convinced that we won't make it is because I just couldn't see this group of players being able to sustain that level of performance for that longer period of time. And so, we didn't play too bad at Crewe and got done by a younger, more mobile side. And then yesterday, to be honest with you, I was at Paddy and I were at Colchester. We were rubbish at Colchester in the second half, and got away with that one as well, really. And that's the other thing is, like the 1-0 win against Grimsby, the 1-0 win against Harrogate. We've got away with a few, and you're never going to get away with them all. So I'm not really surprised that we've come unstuck again. And it's what 1 or 2 players have just come off that level that they've been operating at for a few weeks, which is inevitable because we haven't really got a top 4 to 6 side, unfortunately. And yeah, it's been a great end to the season, and they all should be really proud of themselves, and I'm proud of them, and they've done us proud, and I've really enjoyed it, and I still had a good day out yesterday despite it. And so I'm not upset or bothered or anything, but it's kind of expected, I think.
Yeah, I think it's probably more to do with the depth of the squad than the starting 11. I think, you've got to be able to change it up when players start getting tired, and it's got to be like for like. And I think a couple of things have probably affected us in the last few games since Crewe. I think Stevens has gone he's been injured and he's been out of the squad. I think things have improved when he's been in the team, even though he doesn't always, put a man of the match performance in. He's just got that little bit extra. We have to mention Kai Payne, and I don't like targeting players, but he is a loan player, so he won't be here next season. So I don't know, it's not about hurting his feelings too much. But William Foster, I can't validate this in any way, but according to him, he put on Twitter yesterday that when Payne starts, we played 19, won 5, drawn 6, lost 8, and accumulated 21 points. When he doesn't start, we played 23, won 12, drawn 8, lost 3, and got 44 points. And I'm certainly not suggesting that it is all down to him. I think you've already articulated, Paddy, that Woods and Pett, when it works, it works. When it doesn't, it doesn't. They're too similar, aren't they? There's not enough dynamism in the midfield. That Woods can do the job of him and Pett, I think, on his own. And then Payne, he had a great chance yesterday. Did you watch it back on the highlights? It was a really good. How does he miss the target? Like from there, it's really, really poor. I don't think I'm not blaming Payne. I think what it does though is it just doesn't have. The midfield doesn't have anywhere near enough attacking prowess when it's Pett, Woods, and Payne in the middle there. And I don't know what Ollie Hammond has to do to get a regular go at that number 10 position when Kavanagh's not there. I mean, there's definitely an argument to say that he's more effective than Kavanagh as well, who obviously he didn't feature yesterday. I haven't watched the interviews. I don't know if it's mentioned as to whether he's injured or not, but I also think that Drummond potentially is better in that number 10 role, stretching defenders and things like that. So I think, we've got some recruiting to do to improve the first 11, and we've got some recruiting to do to improve the squad. Is that where you'd start, Paddy? Do you think is the midfield the most important part of it, or what?
I think as we sit here today, yes, it is. But then you've also got the potential for the summer that we might need a new goalkeeper. We might need at least one new centre half. We probably need a centre half anyway. But I'm thinking if Month was to leave as well, there's a lot of areas where we do need to strengthen. We need to strengthen up front. We sign so many strikers, and we always end up with Fondop and Garner as our front two, and probably our best front two still, even with all the signings that have been made. I think that is probably the key area at the moment to target, but I've also got my eye on the fact that we're probably going to need a new goalkeeper and at least one centre half in the summer.
And a right back.
And yeah, probably a winger if Stevens can't stay fit. 2 strikers, yeah. So maybe check that out, Frank.
there is a good bit of business that needs to be done. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the situation with Hudson might actually give us something of a budget to spend.
Although having said that, he's slipping again in recent weeks. I feel he should have done better with that goal yesterday. Thought he
Never should have had an header to actually dive at, should he? I mean, Daniels and Month between them. I mean, and we were so deep defending the box there. It was poor goal, and it kind of like it feels a little bit like we've slipped back to that point where earlier in the season where we couldn't finish and we'd concede a sloppy goal and lose the game, and that was because that's what it felt like yesterday. We kind of regressed back to a certain point in the season, but again, that'll happen. I mean, look at the results and look at the results in the table in the league from the teams above us. They've all had bad results. It's what happens at this level, and I think that even that defeat. Not the draw against MK last week. Last week was If we'd have won that, we'd been in a much better position. Draws have killed us this season, haven't they? But I say killed us. I mean, in terms of our playoff aspirations, but none of us really had playoff aspirations as a whole. I think as a collective, I plumped for 7th because I was still feeling the wave of positivity from last season. Where did you fancy us finishing, Paddy, this season?
So I did the 4-4-2 predictions. I had us down as 14th. And to be honest, it was because I didn't think the manager was capable of taking us to that next level. So we have done better than I thought we'd do. Like I said, up until February, it was pretty grim at times. So it has been quite a positive run that we've been on that has dragged us up the table. I didn't really start believing that we were in with a chance until probably the Chesterfield game. One of my mates, Dean, he's constantly been banging on about it, that we were going to get in, we could get in, and I was thinking no chance. But the Chesterfield game made me think, do you know what, we're not a million miles off, but like Andy said before, we've got a performance like yesterday in us, and some of the players have played at their maximum and will probably never play that well again in their careers. But yeah, I had us down for 14th at the start of the season. So barring an absolute catastrophe, I don't think we're going to finish 14th. We should finish top half at least. So we have done a bit better than I expected us to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're Tuesday night at Barrow, if we beat them, we're on for a top 10 finish, aren't we? Which is extremely credible, regardless.
One of the other points to take into account is on Tuesday, it will be our 15th game in 59 days, which is on average a game every under 4 days over that period. And I think that probably is catching up with us as well. You know, if you looked at the back of the programme yesterday, nice to have a programme to purchase yesterday. Paddy waving it around in front of us. Look at the number. Look at the squad on the back. We've got 3/4 of the number of players listed that they've got, and it's funny, isn't it? How many times in the past when we've been spiraling down the Football League pyramid and into the non-league, we've had 40 players listed, and we come across a team that are top of the league that have only got 24, and you're like, well, that's why they're doing well, because they've got a good small squad. Well, for the first time, I'm looking at the back of the programme thinking, well, we've got comparatively a relatively solid nucleus of players this season. In fact, I think we're in the top 4 teams for the least number of used players this season, which shows you that consistency. But when you're playing a game every 4 days for nearly 2 months, it's going to catch up with them. So I'm not too bothered. In many ways, Kieran Maguire keeps pumping out all the figures of what clubs have spent in League One. If we went up with a budget of £3 million in League One, I think next season would be an incredibly difficult season. So I'm not overly bothered. If we can get recruitment right this summer, then we can have a tilt at going up next year. Then we'd probably be better placed to stay in League One whenever we do, if it's next year or the year after, than we would be at the minute, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But football, well, something that we're not used to is being in the hunt and being in the race. And I think, as long as that lasts, we'll grip it. And I think what last season did as well was, I think, none of us fancied us in the playoffs come last season. And obviously what happened in the playoffs was unreal. So there's always the potential for that. And that's kind of probably shifted our perspective a little bit. But I think at the end of the day, when the dust settles, regardless of what happens, I think we've had a fantastic season. I think if we can finish in the top 10, that in itself would be fantastic. We've got a really good nucleus of players, or we've got enough of a nucleus of good players to build on for next season. And I think would be probably viewed as much more likely to go up next season or be contenders next season than we were this season. So one thing we do know for sure is that Mickey Mellon will be there as our manager. So let's hear from him now.
Mickey, not our day today. How would you sum that one up?
First half tepid. We didn't compete enough and running them enough fire that is required in these types of games. And these games are never greatly entertainingly technical, brilliant games. You've got to win your headers and win your knockdowns and come out of that and top. Set plays, you've got to be good, and you can't get away goals like that you get away in. And then it makes it very, very difficult for yourself. So yeah, that was probably the tale of the game.
You mentioned the goal; it was a disappointing one to concede, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's not like us, really not like us. But it was a lot of areas that we would have been expecting a lot of us to do better in today. At this time of the year, you need hungry, scrapping fighters, and I don't know, maybe too many maybe played in the periphery of that today. But still not enough maybe to lose the game. I don't think that we desperately were beaten well. I think that we had to show quality at certain times, and we had the conditions in the second half. We definitely territorially tried to get after it, but you need to show that wee bit more quality. You need to show that wee bit more devilment. And then it was difficult. I have to be careful here. It was difficult with the referee. I found it a difficult afternoon, all afternoon, and got to the stage where I actually felt sorry for the referee. I really did. In terms of, I just thought, pushed forward maybe too quickly into this situation where the ref just completely kind of lost control of any kind of part of the game, time wasting and anything really. We didn't really know what was going to happen. But that's that part of it. But we will be disappointed that we gave away that goal and made it difficult for ourselves.
Any view of the appeals for the goal in the second half?
Yeah, I've just looked at it there and it looks like it's over the line. And I've looked at it on the computer, on our footage, and it looks like it's over the line. And that would maybe made a lot different. And then Fabio hits the post with a terrific overhead kick, and that maybe makes it different as well. But no, that looks like it's that's a big decision. It's possibly going against us.
4 games to go now, and quickly on to Barrow on Tuesday night.
Yeah, you go again. We just spoke about it there. It's 4 big games to go now. Now you have to just keep trying to win games. I've said that all along. Just keep trying winning. Keep trying winning. Learn from today. Learn about what types of games and what types of performances you have to give in these types of games, and bring that to the game on Tuesday night.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Your players have given you so much over recent weeks. Does it feel like maybe today was just a step too far for them in terms of the effort?
So we're saying that they never tried.
No, I think they did try. I think they just looked exhausted.
But you just said effort.
I mean exhaustion, really.
Don't know about exhaustion. No. I would say it's probably never applied to ourselves to what the game was all about. But you can never ever question their effort. Never. I won't have that. They have a good go. But in terms of what the game needed, we maybe get found wanting in being good at that. Would that be contacts, knockdowns, showing a wee bit of quality coming out of the knockdowns? That's probably what was missing. And then because in the box we weren't first enough, certainly in the 18-yard box. But when you lose that first goal, the first goal we lose is poor. It's sort of nothing really, and we'll be disappointed about that.
Yeah, I knew you'd be frustrated with the goal you conceded, and the margins are fine. I mean, you've hit the post, you've had a couple of really good opportunities in the box where the ball just hasn't quite bounced right for you, and on another day...
And maybe one is the other line, maybe that's it. It's over the line, I don't know, we don't have that watch thing. Maybe says that it was, but they're big decisions and they sometimes go against you, and they did today, and we'll take for defeat and we will look over it and we'll go again on Tuesday night. And we know that it'll be a similar type of game up there.
Not easy to lose one of your leaders in the second half to injury as well. Do you know how Donovan is yet?
I don't. He's in there. He looks like he's hurt his hamstring. I won't know how that is probably for 24 hours. But for him to come off with that doesn't look good. But listen, that just gives somebody else who's not been playing the opportunity to come in at a vital time of the season and be involved in big games. It's choosing to be a big game again.
How do you think Timu did when he came out?
I'm not really going to go. I'm still trying to digest the game as a whole, my team as a whole. I haven't really thought about them as individuals, to be honest. Just the things that we needed to do better as a team, we didn't consistently do today.
4 to go. Obviously, you need a quick response to this one, don't you? Because Tuesday was always going to be a big night for you.
Yeah, that's obvious. We need to go out there and show the quality that's going to be needed up at a tough place to go on Tuesday night. But I would back your players to have a good response and go up there and try and get that victory.
Mickey Mellon there. I'm not particularly impressed with the BBC Manchester questions, I don't think. He certainly didn't like his team being accused of a lack of effort. I think that's one of the things that we can say this season that has been the most impressive thing about the team. They have been playing for the shirt. They have been playing for each other. They've been playing for the fans and the manager. Whether or not they get the result, there has been a really good attitude, really good spirit. Lads, we were all behind the goal when that ball did or didn't cross the line. Initial reaction for me was that it had crossed the line. Was it the same with you guys? It was hard to tell from where we were, but it looked like it did.
I was convinced it was in. I was cheering. I can see myself on video from where I was stood cheering. I was cheering for a long time afterwards. I thought it was a goal. Yeah, it looked to me like it had gone over. You just have an instinct, don't you, when you see it? He was behind the line, the goalkeeper, when he handled it. For me,
yeah. Paddy,
I didn't think it did. I thought he'd kept it out. I've seen a video back. I don't know who put it on, and it looks as inconclusive as it did yesterday. The only Latics have got some better footage that shows it did go over the line, but I did think the keeper had managed to keep it out.
It was very tight
anyway, wasn't it? Until it hit Sutton.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think was it Garner that had
if Sutton hadn't touched it, it'd have just rolled in, wouldn't it? And it came off him and then went towards the keeper.
Yeah. But that's just the way it goes. It's very difficult to tell, and if the linesman's not in the exact right position, and it maybe couldn't.
Yeah, they can't guess, can they?
No, exactly. If they don't see it definitively go in, then it's just one of those things. But Daniels. It's not good when they come off with something like a hamstring. I mean, it certainly means that he won't play on Tuesday, I think. We know that's for sure, don't we? And he might possibly not play again before next season now after that. So that's a bit disappointing. But like he says, you've just got to use your squad, haven't you? And we've got players that, Simu can step in. I don't know what the BBC Manchester journalist was implying by asking him about his performance. Lads, how did you think he did?
I didn't think he was too bad. I didn't think he did anything wrong. The worry is, for me, in terms of Simu playing for the next few weeks, is I feel like Month does better when he's got somebody next to him, not talking him through the game. That's a bit patronising towards Month, but more of a leader alongside him, like Daniels is, as opposed to like a young player like Simu. But yeah, I think it'll probably be Daniels' season that now, the way he went off.
It depends with that. I saw Ogle was training in the week. Whether he's fit, and you could try Sutton at centre half. Sutton got absolutely roasted a couple of times yesterday, didn't he, by their left winger? And again, I always feel it really difficult criticising Will as a fullback when he isn't a fullback. He quit him this run, and credit to him for that. But he's playing out of position, and so it's quite difficult to be overly of that. I think I don't know what's happened to Kavanagh. He didn't mention in that. That's the first time I listened to that interview. I assume he must be injured, because you probably would have had him on the bench, wouldn't you, as to be chasing the game, another forward player. So I assume he's probably picked up another knock. But the weird thing is that front four of Fondop as the furthest forward, and then the three of Stevens, Kavanagh and Drummond behind, was the front four that looked the most dangerous in this run. And when that front four has been disrupted by injury, we've possibly not looked quite as fluid. Now, Hawks did okay yesterday, but Hawks seems to affect the game more as a sub than a starter, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
He seems to come on with energy, and when he starts a game, he's not quite as effective. But I mean, you could accuse a lot of players of that, really. So that front four being disrupted has probably just taken the sting out of our attack, because we've relied on pace and counter-attacking football, and some teams have worked us out now. MK Dons played to that, didn't they? When they came up the other week, they were like, "You lot are good on the break, so we're not going to let you do that." And we found it difficult to break them down. So yeah, I just think there's a few players that we're going to need to move on. Looks like we're going to be doing the squad pod after Accrington, after all, Matt, I would suggest. And then we can talk about what we need to replace.
We're the fire experts, fire safety experts at Pendle New Tech. We train fire marshals, fire safety marshals at Pendle New Tech.
Pendle New Tech have fire experts across the UK covering all your local and national needs. With over 100 years experience in the fire safety industry, you know that you can trust
Pendle New Tech.
Right, enough of that now.
There's nothing to be overly critical about, is there? Like we said, it's been a successful season. we've done everything we needed to do. We've established ourselves back in League Two. We've had a really good go at the playoffs, which, I mean, you think about how hard it is to sustain being in that top 6 or 7 all season. You know, it's really tough. So we've had a really good go at that. There's teams that are far more ahead of where we are that are above us in the table.
They could have started playing before February though, Matt, and then they'd have had more of a chance of going for the playoffs.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. What do you put that down to? Is the question.
I'm putting that down to going with that formation, but also just some players being available all at the same time. That front four, we didn't have Kavanagh. We had Quigley before that. He's too similar to Fondop. Stevens was injured. Hawkes was injured. You know, I think it's a culmination of players all coming together at the same time, and therefore us having a reasonably thin, starting 11 basically. And once they're all available, we're okay. And then once you take one or two pieces out of that jigsaw, we're not quite as good.
Do you agree with that, Paddy?
I think it's probably a contributing factor, definitely. But we could have had more of a go at teams earlier on in the season, like we have done since February. Made it a little bit more enjoyable and probably picked up more points along the way. And you can't fault them from February onwards. Even the Crew game that we lost, you can't really knock them for that. But prior to that, even though we didn't have certain players available, we had enough about us to try and have a go at teams. If we're going to draw 1-1, then let's at least draw 1-1 and try and make it a bit entertaining and try and go and win the game. I did find us a really difficult watch up until probably that Fleetwood game where we drew 1-1 with Fleetwood at home. And at that point, I didn't see a way back for Mellon, really. I thought we'd just see the season out and we'd part ways. So he deserves immense credit for what's happened since February, but I feel like if they'd have been a bit more expansive prior to that, we'd have been a lot closer than we actually are. Been a lot closer to the top 3, probably.
Yeah, I don't know if I entirely agree. I think earlier on in the season, I thought we were we just couldn't finish, could we? We had loads of chances. We were creating loads of chances. We were keeping things pretty tight at the back, but we were drawing too many games because we couldn't take our chances. And there's numerous games from earlier on in the season that if we'd have won, if it had just taken one of those chances, we'd have been comfortably in the playoffs. So I think it's just probably just a combination of all of that. I think Mickey kind of I think he does want to try and be solid fundamentally in terms of not conceding. Consistency in the first 11, I think, makes a big difference. We had Michael Mellon in the team, didn't we, earlier on in the season? So that's a good quality striker there. But yeah, I think ultimately, I think it's probably going to be more easy to criticise or assess next season in terms of, because next season, what's really important is that we're winning games all season. We can't afford to be. We need to be consistent. We need to cut down on the draws and convert those draws into wins. And if we're going to be in the playoffs, we want to be comfortably in the playoffs, don't we? We want to have consistency. We don't want to be going into a late. I mean, I know some people say, well, if you peaked at the right time, late in the season, blah, blah. But really, we want a good, solid, consistent season. We want to be in that top 6, and really going for it. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be very difficult. And from what I've seen from the two probably the best footballing sides up there are Notts County and Swindon. Bromley, MK Dons and Cambridge have shown us that you can just be very, very difficult to beat, really solid. You just have to be good at what you do, effective, and you don't have to be doing a million passes a game to be successful. So whatever the style of play is that we want to achieve next season, we have to have a squad that is built to do it. and we have to be consistent in how we do it. We don't want to be, do we need wingers? Don't we need wingers? Are we playing direct? Are we not playing direct? You know what I mean? I think there's probably this season we've changed. It's changed a bit as the season's gone through, and we've kind of not quite sort of had a consistent sort of way of playing all season. It's chopped and changed. I think next season we need to have a bit more consistency in how we play, and that when we bring players in, it's kind of a bit of a like for like, and then I think we'll stand a good chance of making the playoffs. We've definitely looked at our best, I think, like Andy says, when we've had that front four playing on the front foot, pressing. It's very hard to. It's a very draining way of playing the game, isn't it, for those lads? It takes a lot out of their legs. So I think if we're going to play, in that way next season, then we're going to have to be fit and ready for it. And I'm looking forward to seeing how we approach it. I think obviously the signings, the ins and the outs, will give us a decent indication of how next season's going to pan out.
I'd say what's interesting as well is if you talk about Mellon, probably the most gifted striker we've had available to us this season. If we're playing 4-2-3-1, I'm not sure you can get him in because the one needs to be a target man, doesn't it? Really, in that setup, and he isn't that sort of player, is he? So it's interesting. I've been really impressed with Mike Fondop since that turn of form. I think he's been exceptional most weeks. Slightly off it yesterday, but like lots were. But he's led the line really, really well. And all credit to him for that. But do you want to go into next season with that same formation and Mike Fondop being your main man at number 9? I don't know whether you do. I guess that's something to work out. Interestingly enough, I've got a Bristol Rovers fan who's a mate down here, and he's absolutely. He thinks Quigley's the best thing since sliced bread. They've gone on a run of unbelievable wins, haven't they? As well, and he thinks Quigley's one of the main reasons why. So it's interesting how you can play with a formation where you've got one big target man up there. Be interesting to see what we do with the strikers next season. Could you assume Garner's going to retire? Kavanagh's not. Yeah. He's a number 10, not a number 9. Yeah, it could be all change again, couldn't it? I don't know. Be interesting to see.
He's been written off so many times, Fondop, though, hasn't he? I thought every game, probably up until this run, every time I've watched him, I thought that's surely the last time he's going to play for us. He'll go on loan to Hartlepool or Brackley or somebody like that, and then he always comes back and he always chips in with goals. I looked at his career stats the other day, and he's been a complete nomad before he came to us. He had like 25, 30 appearances at pretty much every club. And he's on, I think, is it 149 or something? Obviously, he's scored over 50 goals for us. So I'm really reluctant to ever write him off anymore because he sees off every single striker that Mellon has brought in to be, and probably on merit, to be our number 1 striker at the moment.
Yeah, and the thing is that what he's done while he's been with us is he's improved on things like season by season. So, like a couple of seasons ago, it was his discipline, wasn't it? That was a really bad, an issue. Silly booking, silly sending offs, and he's worked on that. And he gets bullied. I mean, he's not the kind of person that gets bullied, but you know what I mean. The centre half's giving him some stick every single game, and he's managed to maintain that discipline. And he leads from the front, doesn't he? He's when he's playing, and we know he's had a difficult year, haven't he, with some personal issues and stuff like that. And he's kept going, and he's been back in the side, and he's been leading the line. And you need that. You need somebody that you can rely on, don't you, in that position? I mean, obviously, we need alternatives because you do in a squad. That's par for the course, and you can't rely on him being fit every single week. Fit enough to do that job every single week. So we are going to need, I think we need another Fondop-esque player in the squad because I don't think Mickey's going to change his style that much. I think he likes to have that big man up front, and I think in League Two you need it. I don't think we're going to all of a sudden be like trying to adopt a Notts County style of football next season. It's we're going to be an evolution of what we are now. So.
It's not Mellon's way, is it? Fondop, he, like you said, disciplinary record of a couple of seasons ago. I mean, there were times where he would be anonymous for large parts of the game, or he would give the ball away, not hold it up, it wouldn't stick. In this last 2.5 months, he's laid the ball off. He's held it up well. He's found a player in the same shirt. He's assisted goals as well as scored them. He's passed when he should pass instead of shooting. He's improved immeasurably for me in the last 6 months compared to where he was before, and that is massive credit to him. So you've got him for another season. You would want him based on what you've seen, for sure. But we do need more options, don't we? Because if it becomes a bit one-dimensional and teams work us out, then we've got to have different ways of breaking them down.
Yeah, and I think it's the question is really who plays alongside him. Like you say, Garner is at the end of his career, and I'd be very surprised if he was to stay on or play. He might go elsewhere, he might go National League or something. But I think his days at this level are done. Ollie Hammond and Kavanagh, and I think we need somebody else in there that offers something else. I'm not convinced.
Again, won't they?
Pardon?
We'll sign Mellon again, won't they?
I think he's got one more season at Burnley. I think, and he's on a lot of money at Burnley. I know that much. And so it depends how much Burnley want the loan club to contribute to his wages. There was a bit haggling over that at the start of this season, which is why it took a long time to get him through the door. So it depends what we can afford, really, and what we're prepared to pay, and whether they loan him out to somewhere else.
Yeah, we will see. Yeah, but I think what's important is we need players who can get on the ball and drive forward with it. Like Kane Drummond has been a revelation this second half of the season since he started finding the net. Not just that though, his performances, and I think that you have to give credit to the manager for helping the players improve. A lot of it is the mentality. One thing you're going to get from Fondop is he's going to work hard, but it's hard to stay disciplined. It's incredible. It's a tough year. You look at football and you think, well, you've only got to play football once or twice a week. It's great, but there's a lot of mental strength that goes into being a good footballer, and maintaining those performances. You can go and train every week and be physically fit, but if you're not concentrating during the game and you're not paying attention to what you're being told and what you're being asked to do and all that, there's a lot of mental focus required. And I think that Mickey's done a good job in getting his players to stay focused and on the ball. And anybody who isn't is out the door. Look at Kean Harrott, for example. And so Mellon's trying to build a squad that's in his image in that respect, and I think that's a good thing.
I knew as soon as we saw him get manager a month, we're going to lose yesterday.
Well, that was the ultimate curse, wasn't it? Yesterday, yeah,
absolutely was. Can I do a couple of Kieran Maguires for you? Right, we'll do a little quiz. What do you think Huddersfield Town, who finished 10th in League One, what do you reckon their wage bill was last season?
God, have a guess, Paddy.
12 million.
16.9 million.
Wow.
They only brought in £10 million worth of revenue. They spent 160% of their income on wages.
Wow.
Absolutely bonkers amount of money. What do you think Wigan's wages were?
Higher or lower, Andy?
Lower.
Okay. 10 million.
Oh, bang on. Well done.
Yay,
absolutely top work. I haven't got Bradford City's wages when they got promoted from League Two, but I can tell you they lost £3 million and their revenue was £6.7 million. It is a fun one. Birmingham City, promoted from League One to the Championship. What do you reckon the wage bill was?
Oh, this is massive, isn't it? This is like double Huddersfield, isn't it?
Yeah, I reckon it might be in the 30s, that, because they bought Stansfield in on a load of money, didn't they?
£38.9 million.
Bloody hell.
Wages. Just wages.
Yeah.
It's incredible, isn't it? Absolutely incredible. When you look at some of those numbers, Reading lost 13 million. Doesn't tell you how much the wages were. Lost 13 million. Doncaster lost 3.7 million when they went up. It's absolutely frightening sums of money, isn't it?
And this is the thing. It's football and money have always been it's always been part of the game, and it's always been since the first £1 million player or whatever. And we look at players' wages and all that, but since the start of the Premier League, we spoke about this before, Andy, but it's you think about the money. I think the first Sky contract was worth 60 million quid. What is it now? In the billions, isn't it? Or the football TV revenue deals are worth billions, and it's crazy. And I don't think it was League One probably wasn't as affected. But now you're looking at teams coming down from the Championship like Birmingham, bringing with them, these kind of budgets. It's insane. That's what we're aiming to be competing in. So it's just
before we do Latics, man, I'll do one more. Right. So Northampton Town finished 19th in League One last season. They're going to get relegated this year. What do you reckon their wages were?
Well, after we beat them in the FA Cup earlier on this season, Andy, I would hope that they weren't spending too much on wages because they were bobbins. So let's go for 7 million.
Ooh, I'll tell you what, 6.2, but that's exactly double our wages. £2 for every pound we spend on wages they spent.
Yeah, and we beat them comfortably in the FA Cup, didn't we? So, yeah.
Should we put Paddy through his paces?
Yeah. He's been sitting there eagerly, getting more and more excited about the prospects of this.
I thought it was bang out of order what you did to Paul last week when he put all these questions in for you. I know that you're going to do it even worse for me. So, yeah.
Andy, can I just ask? When you were doing the questions for these two, did you do them individually or did you pool a load of questions together and then distribute them at random?
I did them individually, but I made sure that they were fair.
Right. Yep. Okay.
Of equal difficulty.
Right. In that case, good luck.
Latics Mind is sponsored by Oldham Athletic Supporters Foundation, investing in the fans, the club and the community. Join today at oasf.co.uk for just £12 a year. OASF, because we're stronger together.
In 1914-15, Latics finished runner-up to Everton in the First Division. On the final game of the season, they lost 2-0 at home to whom?
Villa.
Wrong, it was Liverpool. Latics have scored 11 twice in a game, once versus Southport, conceding none. Who did they beat 11-2 in January 1952?
Chester.
Correct. For a bonus point, how many goals did Eric Gemmell score in that game?
He scored 7.
Correct. Like the rugby, Latics used to play in red and white striped hoops at home. Before Pony manufactured retro kit of 1997, when was the last year they played in these colours?
74.
1948. Redshaw were Latics' first ever kit sponsor, but what year did they first adorn the shirt?
79.
Correct. 2024-25 saw Latics win at Wembley in the playoffs. However, how many draws did we chalk up in the first 8 games?
5.
Correct. Latics won Division 3 North in 1953. Eric Gemmell was top scorer, having only played in 27 of the 42 games. How many did he score?
Sorry, how many games did he play?
27.
25.
Wrong, it was 23. In 1974-75, back in the second division, Latics famously beat Man United 1-0 at Boundary Park. But what was the score in the reverse fixture at Old Trafford?
1 to United.
Sorry, what was that?
2-1 to United.
3-2 to United. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a tie. a tie with Paul Prendergast.
Oh,
I think we're gonna need like a tie break, aren't we? We're gonna have to get them both on.
yeah. There's you couldn't get a cigarette paper between them, as the saying goes. Yeah, well done,
He's
Paddy.
got years on me as well, though. So
You're not having a handicap system for age.
No, and he definitely wasn't around in the 1914 season, and plenty of others. So when you were working out because obviously there was a couple there that you were quite astounded. There was one in particular. Which one was that?
it was a sponsor.
The sponsor 79.
Yeah.
That was good. But when were you counting the draws for the five draws?
Yeah, so we won the first two, didn't we? We beat
Braintree 3-0
and Wealdstone, and then it was Filed. We lost at Aldershot. We drew with Gateshead, drew with Southend, drew with Halifax, and there was somebody else in there as well. So yeah, I knew that we'd won two and lost one. So obviously
you were able to deduct from there.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. Yeah. So you're good at recalling these things. What about predicting? What do you reckon the next 4 games are going to yield in terms of results for Latics?
So I mean, we should win on Tuesday. But I was having a look at the table before I came on, and they're in desperate need of the points. If we beat them, that is pretty much a nail in their coffin. And a draw will do neither team any good on Tuesday. Excuse me, on Tuesday. So I'd like to think we'd win there. I feel like we always struggle against Salford. I thought Salford were quite good when we played them away. I thought they had some tricky players, and I think was it Ogle that played right back. He had a tough afternoon against their left winger, and then Sutton got sent off. So I think we might struggle there. And then you get to the point where if we do lose to Salford, the last 2 games, no one gives a shit. So you can play me and Andy at centre-back in those games. Don't really make any difference. So it's just obviously then whether Newport are fighting to stay up or whether they've already stayed up. But we're going to Barrow, and then we'll be at Newport as well. So we should, all being well, end the season on 43 out of the 46 games, which is probably my best return for a long time. In fact, maybe ever, actually.
Yeah, it's good going. But yeah, I mean, we're probably going to finish on around 70 points. I think maybe early 70s. I think I'm like you about Salford. I don't have much confidence about us beating Salford. We never seem to do particularly well. Massive game on Tuesday night. They are fighting for their lives. They've got a game in hand on Newport, and if they win against Latics, then they'll be just a point behind them and Crawley and Tranmere. So they really, really need to win. So yeah, I'm sure it won't be pretty at Barrow on Tuesday night. I'm definitely not expecting a classic. So it's just going to be a case of I can't see them creating a massive amount of chances. I don't see that they're going to be that type of team. So I think we just have to get back to taking our chances, don't we? And defending properly, and I think would be okay. But yeah, there's always going to be. Would not be a freak result if Barrow beat Latics, but there's always the chance of an upset in that respect. So yeah, we'll see. We don't have to wait very long. Tuesday night in Barrow in April is a slightly more appealing prospect than it was in January. So
not with this weather, it's not.
That's true. It's not the best, is it? No, it was freezing. It was freezing at Shrewsbury.
The Boundary Park Alert System is sponsored by Pendle New Tech, a family-run Lancashire business you can rely on for everything fire safety related, including supply and installation, maintenance, testing, certification, alarms, risk assessments, like I said, anything fire safety related. But what do I know? Visit pendle-nu-tech.com and they'll sort you right out. Check the show notes for more information.
All right, dog. Come to say, why are you still doing that? Are you going to take me for a walk or what? Yeah, okay, we'll go for a walk. Right, that's it. Looks like time's been called, lads. Anything else you want to contribute before we leave?
Yeah, just you're talking about Latics, mind about me and Paul being tied. There's somebody who's got more than 4 this season, so they've actually winning it.
That is the case. Yeah, we just wanted to make, instead of giving you the normal run of questions where you both get 11 and 12 and it's just boring for everyone else.
Only one person who's ever got 11, Andy, and it wasn't Paul.
Very good. So we just thought we'd put you through your paces and make it a bit more fun for other people to listen to you two struggling for a change.
Paddy, you're in the Champions League with Paul. Everybody else is playing in the regular season, but you two are in an elevate. And until somebody else comes along to join that Champions League, it's just the two of you for now. But I mean, if anybody knows anybody out there who maybe doesn't listen to the podcast but is something of a Latics mind that we can put through their paces, that'd be good. See if we can get them to get in touch. There's got to be some more people out there with an encyclopedic knowledge and who are also really good at guessing with the odd answer as well. So good score. There's obviously nothing between you. 4 points, 4 games to go. It's probably just going to be a bit too much in it this season, I think, after that defeat in Shropshire today.
Think so,
yeah. But you never know. If we hammer Barrow on Tuesday, we'll all have changed our tune come Wednesday morning and whatnot. So we'll see. But brilliant. If you want to get your house featured on the telly, give Paddy a shout. He's got all the connections. Let's roll on Tuesday. We'll chat about the game on Tuesday on Latics Football Phone on Thursday. Thanks very much, lads. Appreciate your time this morning.
Appreciate it. I just want to do a shout out to Andy Boylan from Coventry, who came up to say hello to me yesterday. Avid listener of the podcast. Assume you're listening today. Nice to meet you yesterday.
There we go. Lovely stuff. Right, we'll see you at Barrow. Take care, everyone.
Hey Dave, did you know that listeners can now buy us a coffee or any other kind of hot beverage? What's your favourite hot beverage, Dave?
A macchiato.
And how do you like your macchiato?
Black with lots of milk. Oh.
No cream?
No.
Well, if you want to buy Dave a
macchiato,
then go to buymeacoffee.com/We Are Oldham. I'll just have a Nescafe.
Oh. Thank you, listeners.